Hey, Matt.
Jack, how are you, mate?
I'm all right. Sorry to the audience who have been out there waiting for the show to start. We had some technical difficulties, also called our panelists didn't show up. So I'm going to do my best HG impression that I can here for you. Sorry. I won't quite have the accent or the snarky attitude, but I'll do my best.
I'm sure you will, mate. I'm sure you'll be. Well, you're not a deputy, are you? But obviously, it would have been the three of us. We'd have had that good thing. Obviously, you're quite hopeful, aren't you, Jack? And quite sort of like positive. And I've lost all hope a few years ago, and I'm struggling to find the positives. And HG can go either way, can't he? So we've had that nice balance.
Yeah, that'll work. And maybe he'll wake up or realize what time it is or whatever and come into the show and help us out a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be great. So, mate, I was thinking, so the Chelsea game's gone, hasn't it? Chelsea game's gone. I mean, don't want to be talking about that again. But I just thought when we sort of organised this chat, I thought, Levy's getting a bit of heat now. Ange is getting heat. The players are getting heat. I think it's a mixture of everything. But I just thought we could discuss and obviously go in the panel. Where do we think the main issue lies, and what do we think realistically will happen to make it better? Because there's, out of all the stuff we'll talk about, there's certain things that aren't going to happen straight away, are they, Jack? So I don't know what you sort of think about that.
I think it's, as with most things in life, there are multiple reasons why you're getting the outcome that you're getting, regardless of what we're talking about, whether it's in your personal life, your business life, whatever, you're in football clubs. It's always a combination of factors. And for me, the factors are, there's a number of players whose performances have been very erratic. I think of Basuma, I think of Madison, right? Those sorts of problems. Then you add in, injury problems, which, could be traced to training or managerial, but they've been a problem with this club long before Ange got here. So, I don't know that is, but it is certainly a problem, injuries. You've got a board, and I'm not going to say Levy individually, because I really think while Levy's the face, if you will, of the club, it's there's Donna Cullen, there's lots of people on the board who have significant roles and responsibilities in this organization. So it's the board that decided to spend most of the money this past summer, or most of the activity, on setting us up for a great 25-26 or maybe 26-27.
Possibly agree.
Yeah, possibly. Well, great. That's a poor word. A potentially good. And buying what most people regard as some really good young players, and really only bringing us Solanke, right?
Yeah.
And then you add to that, you've got a style of football that, one, is not easy physically or mentally to play.
Yeah.
And I still see what I think are player errors on the pitch that are not coaching issues. But the reality is, though, you can listen to Ange, he would rather win 4-1 than 1-0. And as a result, even in the Chelsea game or any other game, Brighton, you're up a couple goals, and his attitude is to finish them off. Let's get the third, let's get the fourth, let's kill this thing off, which does open yourself up to conceding chances. The one thing that I can't isolate as to whether it's Ange's fault or the player's fault is this consistently this diabolical trend of conceding space at the back post, somewhere in the vicinity of the back post, to give open shots like the third Chelsea.
The third,
Enzo's goal, whichever. That was third, right? That was the third.
That was the third. Yeah.
I mean, granted, it was a lucky bounce, but the thing is you get bounces in football, and if you have two players in space in the 18, bounces happen, the ball falls to him, and guess what? He's a professional. He puts it in the back of the net. So it's a multiple of factors in my mind, and I think too many fans are using, saying, okay, gravitating to Romero's comments and saying, see, we told you, Romero's saying the same thing that Conte said, that Jose said, that, it's all Levy's fault. No, I don't buy that. He's culpable for a lot of things, but he's not 100% to blame.
Mate, Romero, I think lots of people, I think it probably is directed at Levy, and people will jump on that, and probably rightly so, because it comes from pretty much the right place. Romero said those comments, in my opinion. Like I said, we're at different ends of the spectrum how we see things. Probably a little bit more cynical, like I said, because over the last few years, I've sort of reached that point where I'm just not having it. I just think he's setting himself up to leave, mate.
Oh yeah,
Romero.
no,
He doesn't,
but it doesn't mean he's wrong.
give a shit about. No, it doesn't mean he's wrong. But I don't think it's because like he loves the club or he loves anybody else. I think he's starting to try and put his own affairs in order. That's where I think that's come from. And it's mate, and you know, they have people who look at social media and they know the narrative and that's going out there. So it's sort of like an easy thing to say, isn't it? But like, so for me, well, obviously we've said this in the group. So I'm not. I really like Ange Postecoglou. I love the way he wants to play football. I love his ideas, but I don't particularly rate or believe. Hi, Dave.
Hello.
Or believe, Jack, that it will manifest itself. I think I said from after a while, after those first 10 games when it sort of went a bit iffy, this guy's going to need, if this is going to work, this is going to need the best players in their position to make it work. Because like when he was at Celtic, he had arguably the best team in the league, and you can afford to go hammer and tong. And then there's times when you can lay off when you're playing like Inverness, Caledonian Thistle, people like that. You can do that. And here, it's just another manager that needs specific players of a specific quality for it to work. And you're not going to get those at Tottenham. You're just not. You're going to have to make the team better than the sum of its parts, which is what the previous managers who have done well have done. So I've sort of like towards the end of last season, probably from like last Christmas a year now, I look at it and I think, oh, I see a lot of mediocrity. And I've said, and I got pouters in our group, like me and Leon probably, because I was like, I can just see us sleepwalking into midfield with the transfer business we had. And there were people in our group who were really pleased with it. And like me and Leon were sort of really down on it. I just, I can see us sleepwalking into mid-table mediocrity. And I think that is sort of coming to pass a little bit. I know we're not miles off the top, but that's what I see. And when you look at the results since that first 10 games, that's exactly what it is, isn't it? It's average Joe.
Oh yeah, no, I don't disagree.
And I do think Levy is the common denominator. I think, over all the time he's been here, he's done some, we've had some really good teams, and we've had some of his decision making, footballing wise, is atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
But I look at it at the minute, Ange said it's not just Ange's fault, obviously Levy as well, but I'm talking about the manager at the minute, and I'm going, he was happy with Johnson and Werner. He said he signed off these players. He was happy with the transfer window. And he works these players like fuck, which I think is part of the reason they get injuries. So, I'm looking at it like, for me, Levy ain't going nowhere, mate. Whether I want him to, I do want him. I do want somebody to come in with shitloads of money and start splashing it about. That ain't going to happen. But the pressure is on Levy a bit now. It's getting more put on him in the, on the social media and in the press and stuff like that. But that's how I see it. And I just think we are just pretty average at the minute. And I think the manager is a big part of that. I know people are on his side. I like him. I want it to work. I want to be proved wrong, Jack. But
let me give you a couple before we bring Dave into the conversation. Let me just couple comments on your, because I don't disagree with hardly anything you just said.
Yeah.
If we wanted to have instant success with this manager, right, we would have to have bought differently since he got here.
Yeah,
there's no question about that. You would have had to. You can't not. You would have had to assign Neto. You would have had to assign another center back when we brought Mickey in of at least Dragson's quality on the left side. You would have need to have brought in at least one fullback that you trust that could play either side. You would have needed to at least, there was a lot of things. And so my feeling is that if patience is something that people could muster, and you continue to buy really good quality young players with a few veterans here and there and keep people at the club, I do believe this brand of football can compete in the Premier League. It will just take a lot longer than what most people's patience will allow, particularly the online fan who has zero patience, right? And so to throw him out and start the cycle over again with the same ownership is insanity for me, because we will have this exact same conversation that we're having right now 18 months from now with some other manager. Because if you look at Brighton plays a very expansive brand of football, right? They're all over the pitch and they have wonderful games sometimes and they have diabolical losses. We are the same club in terms of personnel. They buy better, they sell better, but in terms of their results on the pitch, it's not much different. They get some really big scalps and then they lose to games that they should never lose. And so I don't think we're an average football team. We're average results when you look at the table. But our performances are great or crap. That is a big problem. And so for me, I just see that if you're going to commit to a young brand of football, I mean, bringing young players in, you've got to give the project enough time to bear fruit, because I don't know what manager you're going to go out there that's going to work under this board and create titles. I just don't see it, because we have the money. We spend 45% of revenue on wages. We could increase that more than 50% and still be underneath the supposed PSR that's coming down a 70% squad cost. I mean, we have dollars to commit to salary, but we're the 6th highest payroll and we'll probably finish 6th. Because the payroll table and the points table at the end of the year are always really, really close. Liverpool consistently outperforms.
Just before you go, so can I quickly tell you what we do need? Because I've said this before. We need a turd polisher.
I'm sorry?
Because we need a turd polisher, mate. We need somebody who comes in and makes the team better than the sum of its parts. Don't want to keep harping on about Poch because he's gone. That's gone. That time's gone, and we had a better team then.
Yes, we did.
You need somebody to come in and go. Like at one point, we used to say, really, with the squad at the minute and the way it is, we should go 3 at the back because that will make us better. And then Porro and Udogie will be playing in their preferred positions. You've got like Dragusin, Romero, Van der Ven. Then you can put Sonny up top off Solanke and just sort of get him running channels and play. Maybe that would make us a bit more difficult to beat, but he ain't doing that, is he, mate? So, like we're saying,
and Conte wouldn't do it either.
We're saying patience. Obviously, this would come today. We're saying patience, but for over a year now, we have just done the same thing pretty much over and over again. The same mistakes, the same.
Right, I know, but what I'm saying is, 2 years from now, if you've embedded this brand of football in your academy and in your young players you sign and the experienced players are there, 2 years from now, they might be executing this system, or maybe not even 2 years, a year from now, much better than they are now. I don't know that's true. I'm just saying that's possible. I just hate the idea of starting all over again and buying a bunch of new players that are fit for a whole new system. That and getting rid of the players that we've all bought and just cycling the whole thing over again. I can't tolerate it. I mean, I'd rather deal with the unpredictable up and down results than start a new project all over again, because I don't trust this board to do what they have to do to make it work. I'd rather go with a manager that we all like and think has potential and let them work for another year before we just throw everything out and sack them mid-year and start all over again. That's just my position.
Dave better come in and give.
Yeah, Dave, you need to calm us down.
I've got like this rebuild project chat. I've got a take on that. So Dave, come on.
And Dave, before you get there, I just want to say, just not an hour ago, I was on a Teams call with someone in Brisbane. And what is the deal? They don't do daylight savings. Well, I think she said she was 15 hours ahead instead of 16. What's the deal?
In an American context, think of a state that you might think to yourselves, well, they're just a little bit prehistoric, and that's Indiana. Queensland. That's Queensland. Okay,
it's Indiana here
because the hour time difference. They want to make sure the cows get their right amount of sleep in the field.
Got it. Okay, got it.
They had a premier of Queensland who seriously thought about experimenting by blowing up the Great Barrier Reef with an atomic bomb. That's Queensland. Okay. So anyway, look, I honestly think that this conversation that we are having now is a very green conversation, because we recycle this conversation every 18 months to 2 years. And I'm not wearing a green t-shirt and my green Christmas tree to make that point.
I know where this is going.
You know where I'm, but that's the point.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you know
yeah.
where
Yeah,
I'm going. And where I am going is that I have absolutely zero confidence in Daniel Levy, Donna Cullen, the board, Munn, Langer, all of them, to make a correct footballing decision. Okay. Now let's get context here. Ange, whether he's in or out, when we brought him in, who else was available at the time? It was Nuno all over again. Yeah. The German AVB turned us down. Slot, they didn't do the deal in terms of paying the comp, and Slot wanted his backroom staff to come over. That's right, Leon. And then, and here is where we are now. Now, in terms of the fact of, well, we can't do anything about this. We can't do anything about Levy going and things like that. There is one scenario that he can go, which is against his wishes. He owns about 25 to 30% in his family trust and things like that of the club. Joe Lewis Family Trust is the majority shareholder. Now, what do we know at the moment? We know that the ownership of the club, Joe Lewis, it was Joe Lewis, it got transferred to the family trust, which is, my opinion, is a risk management in relation to the insider trading case that he got accused of and found guilty of this year. So he had to move his assets. The second thing is that we know, and is fact, that Daniel Levy has had interviews on Bloomberg and been in the financial press, is that the club are looking for capital to invest in the club. And the Times reported that they were looking for capital to invest in the first team, to develop the women's academy, and also to for the investment into the hotel, which they are building. So if we take it up a notch a second, that's the situation that we are in. Then I look at the business that we have done over the summer. And to quote my top showbiz chum, HG, in Vienna, we've bought players in that would be great for 2026, 2027. Right now, we bought, Solanke is a striker that we should have bought at the beginning of the summer, and I've no idea why we didn't buy him at close to the window. We don't have, in my opinion, a number 6 in the squad. Gray may be your number 6, but he may not be your number 6. A Leeds fan said he's better at an 8. Even Basuma, even Bentancur, I think are better as a number 8. And what we were crying out for the squad, and I was on another very positive podcast, OSO Spurs, and respect to them, is that I said in April, you need a number 6, you need a striker, you need a left back, you need a left-footed left back and a left-footed centre back, and we didn't get any of them. Now, the other point I want to make is that Langer, who left Villa and who haven't exactly he got demoted. He got demoted, and then they haven't exactly gone backwards since he's left, right? Langer said at the end of the window in August, the players that we've bought are good to go for the first team. Yeah, the manager does not agree with that. We haven't seen Bergvall start a Premier League game. We haven't seen Gray start a Premier League game. That time is coming very soon, right? And if anyone can tell, and if Ange signed off on Timo Werner, then that is a big issue for me in terms of his judgment, right? So that's the ownership. And I think that the fan base is, as is society, very divided, vitriol and this, that, and the other. But it all needs a unifying figure to bring the fan base together and to protest peacefully and respectfully against the ownership. The mainstream media needs to look at the finances of this club and how it's being run and how certain things are being financed. And I know that in relation, no, I'm not Leon, I sit here. The relation we have with, and the other thing as well. And so that's that piece as well, right? Now, I think that where we are with Ange is that I personally think it makes zero difference at the moment who is the first team coach of this football club. I'm very sorry, right? I would criticize Ange. I think his in-game management is poor. I think at the end of the day, his substitutions are very questionable at times. But to say that he never nuances or tweaks his tactics, I think is incorrect. I think that some games this season, particularly the European away games, I think he tweaks it a bit, right? But the reality of the situation is that you've got two fullbacks on the bench. Reguilon has been loaned out more times than a bloody library book, and I don't think it's started for us in 2 years or 3 years. I think his last game was under Conte, yeah. And then you've got Jed Spence, who another example of a misaligned signing by this club that the coach doesn't want, and it would appear each coach ever since has not wanted him either, right? He hasn't started. I don't believe he's started a Premier League game yet for us, has he? And he was signed in, was that August 22 that he was signed, I think?
He spent last season out on loan, didn't he? He signed the season before. So he's had 2 full seasons. He's in this he's in his 3rd season, isn't he?
Correct. Yeah, and then I look at the case of the Lees, right? Now, the record goal scorer of our club's history is sold. And sit down, don't fall off your seats. It was the right decision with a year to go. You got to get money for him. He won't sign a new contract. We know why. Don't have a problem with that. Okay. What I do have a problem with is the club never planned for the scenario of bringing in a ready-to-made striker to go. I was expecting us to spend 120 million on a striker like the window before last. But I was expecting us to have an experienced striker come into that squad, right? And he signs the leagues, and Ange couldn't get him out the door quicker enough on loan in January, right? You must have that joined up thinking. Everyone will go, well, we can't compete with City, you can't compete with Chelsea and all the rest of it. I still come back to Liverpool as an example. Yes, I hear some of the Scousers moan that Fenway should put more money in, right? But at the end of the day, you had Michael Edwards, you had Klopp, you had that board all lined up and in sync in what they want to do. I am not convinced of this at all in the case. We've seen it. Burval, Gray, the Leeds, they're not started the first team. They haven't started one game in the Premier League. And we are not in a position as a club at the moment where the balance of the squad of people coming into that squad are for the future, right? We need a squad where you've got like the Poch squad, who had a great 11, maybe a great 12 or 13. If you'd have bought Grealish at that summer, Grealish would have competed against Dele Alli, Ericsson, Son, and Lamela, who's crap, right? But it would have given the rest of them a kick up the arse because they all got accustomed to, when I'm going to start every game, no matter how I play. So the challenge we have now is that Ange plays a high-intensity football with his training at high intensity. We have all these injuries, his hamstring injuries, his muscle injuries, because he's got like Davis, was he now 32, 33, right? So it's just inevitable that was going to happen to him.
He hasn't played a lot of games though, Dave, had he?
Yeah, but he hasn't.
You're saying that's trained. That I'm saying that's the. So it's not like Davis was playing. Probably played like 4 games in a row, did he?
Yeah, but that's the thing. He's playing high. So he played 4 games in a row. So listen, we got 5th last season, and let's look at the context. Newcastle were in the Champions League and couldn't handle it, right? Chelsea had 5,000 players and 3 dressing rooms at their training ground. United were a shambles, right? We had no European football, and we got 5th. This season, we're playing more games. Everyone knew that was going to be the case, and we did not have we had a better squad last year than we do this year. And on paper, a better team this year with a proper striker who it'd be good to cross a ball to on his head once in a while. And we've got a weaker squad.
Can I come in on that one, Dave? This is we've been hoodwinked about this. Our project, we can't leave this project where it is now. It's the rebuild. People are, haven't got the stomach for a rebuild. I find that insulting. People like, us guys, we've been supporting Tottenham for a long, long time. We have got the stomach. We've been in this shit for years and years. But so I'm looking at it, Dave. The rebuild. We finished 5th last year, as you said. We didn't finish the season strongly. I know we're 5 points off 5th, and we got massive So I agree. But I'm talking about how I saw Spurs and this. People, now we come into this, people say, we're in a rebuild. This is what happens. You're going to get these poor performances. You're going to get these inconsistent performances. We were inconsistent before we had the injuries. But we finished 5th. What it needed was, And certain people are happy to go, yeah, well, we had the squad was a mess. The squad was a mess. We had to do this. We had to get players out the door, but we were fifth. From that point of fifth, you bring in players. You just need to take the thing on. You don't need to go, we're fifth, but we got to rebuild the squad because we've got players. You get players out the door. You replace them with players of a similar quality, hopefully a better similar quality or as good. Maybe a little bit younger than if you want them a bit younger than Højbjerg was, but you need to take it on. It's not a massive rebuild. It was just taking it on. That's what we should be doing, pushing on, evolving every year, getting better. But we're all talking about a rebuild. It might be a project.
I'm not talking about a rebuild.
It might be a project because the manager's here.
Project is different from rebuild.
Project, yeah. But people saying, oh, the rebuild, that's why it's so poor, part of it, because we're rebuilding. This happens when you rebuild.
Yeah, no, it's not a rebuild.
It needed moving on. That's what it needed. The squad needed freshening and evolving, not rebuilding, because we were fifth. We had a decent base. We had some decent players there. We had Romero, Van der Ven, Porro, Udogi. We just needed to make the squad better, and we needed to push on. And I think people have been hoodwinked into this rebuild bollocks, which is what's being spouted out there. And I think Ange, I totally get people Ange in. I want to be wrong. I really like him. I like him as a person, and I like his ideas. But I just don't see it. And at some point, whether Leave is there or not, Leave is there or not, it needs somebody to take it on. I watch Spurs play, and it is hectic. It is frantic. We got players drop. He admits to injuries, that we'll get injuries because of the way he trains and the way he plays. Now, it's great the players are behind him or coming out and seemingly behind him, and fans are behind him. But it's a results-based business.
Yeah.
And over a year, the results have been very, very average. And people say, oh, we're entitled. I'm not entitled. I want to see Spurs win. That is genuinely all I want to do. I want to see us win, and I want to see us progress as much as we can. And I don't think we are doing that. And I don't think, unless he really turns it round, Ange is going to do that at Tottenham. I think it needs a manager to come in. He will get the players. Other managers have got it. Spurs in the squads. Other players have got. He'll probably get a couple of the ones exactly he wants, and it needs someone who can make us. At times when we have, it's great that Ange just wants to go for it, but it's like it just ain't gonna work the way he wants it to work. It isn't this, and this sounds, but it isn't Scotland, it isn't Australia, and it isn't Japan. It just isn't. He turned those squads around really quick. He had big groups of players, and I want to be proved wrong. And everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Don't want to go telling people what they should think. It's just at some point something's got to give, and the likelihood is it will be the manager and not the owner.
Oh well, there's no doubt about that. That the manager will be the person who suffers the pain of this not working to the
scapegoat.
To Matt's. I know. I mean, you generally.
I know.
You generally the Matt Gibbons of the world who are like, okay, I just want to go and watch the team win. I don't care about any of these details. I don't care about FFP. I don't care about squad costs. I don't give a crap about anything. I pay my money to Sky. I pay my money to tickets. I just want to see a game where we win. But here's the thing. I think we can all agree that you said it actually, Dave. Enoch is here. Enoch ain't going anywhere. We have no ability to force him out unless we can somehow pull off Gandhi-style collective action. Right? That ain't happening. So
well, it could happen.
It could, but it's not going to. Would you agree with that?
I think that look.
No, yes or no?
I say it can happen. All right, it can happen.
Okay, all right. Until it happens, right? Mm-hmm. The only change of ownership is going to come from some sort of Ineos style minority ownership board where we say, tell you what, you're really good on that side of the business. Let us handle the football side,
Mm.
and we'll make it happen. Now, I got a lot of problems with what Ineos has done so far over there, but that's not, I don't care. It is their problem or their advantage or blessing or whatever. I don't care. But until we get that sort of investment where someone says, give me the football operations, we are dealing with what we're dealing with. And regardless of how you feel about the owner, and some people are more positive than the others, I think that we can just say that, to your point, Dave, replacing the manager is not the solution.
Well,
so what I'm saying is that I believe that there's nothing about this manager that can't build some level of success, at least to the point where maybe you win a Europa League, maybe you win a League Cup, maybe you make a cup run. I mean, that's not like, some weird history that we don't have some experience with in this club where, through the league, we were also Rams, but we could always put together a great cup run here and there. Right. So
yes,
until you get a new ownership group that decides that the most important priority for the ownership group is trophies, that is the number one priority for that ownership group.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing we can do is say, hey, let's find a guy that the fans like, because I think overall, like you're saying, Gibbo, you may not think that football is going to work, but you got nothing wrong with him personally. Like I mean, Conte could only stay at Tottenham if he were delivering trophies, because otherwise I got no patience for that guy at all. Takes no acceptance of responsibility, throws the blame on everyone else. I have no patience for the drama that is Jose Mourinho. When he was hired, I freaking almost cried. And I mean, so I don't want those managers in.
I didn't cry when he was appointed.
I was
Sorry.
Conte and Jose started.
So was I.
Here we go.
So did I.
Because here's what, this to be all right, quick digression here. I was like, well, this sucks because I really I do not like Mourinho at all, but he's going to be here. I just hope he's here long enough to win us a trophy before he blows the whole thing up, because that I knew where we were going to get to eventually with him, and firing him a week before the cup game. I'm sorry.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah, and that's not the first time he's done that.
No, I know. But that's what we're dealing with. And I have less animosity towards Daniel Levy than you two, because why? I've got 20 plus years less invested in the club. So I get that.
No, that doesn't make you less of a supporter.
I do agree with many of your points you make, that the board has not done their job to the sufficient level that it should have been, given the resources that this club has. But that's not going to change. So my point is that all this Ange out stuff and that football's not going to work, I don't believe any of that stuff, because we could have a manager who the players at least were led to believe are behind, right?
Yeah, but players
players have sacked plenty of managers.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So right now the player's not trying to get the manager sacked. So why there's this push to say we got to get someone else in because this football is not delivering results? Today's point, we're going to be the same place 18 months from now if we sack this guy and move on. So I'd rather let him stay until the ownership situation resolves itself. And if it never does, that is the club we own.
I think
I don't go on, Dave. Sorry.
I think
you go.
No, I think if you have a change in ownership, or you have a new capital partner that comes into that club, I suspect they would say, we want a new manager. And I would suspect they would probably have somebody lined up, good to go. That's how it works. It's like private equity. I'll buy a stake in your business. I will help you. You can be the visionary of property development or whatever it is you lot do. And I'll do the football club, but I will bring in who I want. And you probably would see the likes of Munn, Lang, all go. And yes, it's a start again, but I think that's what I think would happen, right? Now, in the question of Ange, Leon doesn't like him. He's arrogant. What football manager at his success level isn't arrogant? Name me that football manager, please, Leon.
Just list the name of managers who have no arrogance or ego whatsoever who are managing at this level. Please, I want the list right now.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
Nuno. I mean, but this is the thing, right? So from a sentimental point of view, I would love for Ange to succeed. And I was very excited at an emotional level that the first Aussie coach in the Premier League was at the club I love and grew up with. Okay, that's even I have a heart, hard as it is to believe, right? And
I don't believe it.
It's true, but I've given it back. So I was very excited about that, and we need at the time of the club was in an absolute disarray. Paratici banned. We got through Stellini. That was an awful season. The club. The players didn't had to do a lap of honour with Stone Roses Fool's Gold blaring out. The fans were in open revolt. So you needed a Yole-like person to come in, unite the club with his charisma, his avuncular personality, and that's what Ange brings to the place. That's what a good an Aussie coach, and the way that sports is treated in this country. It's like the old joke is Australia won the Olympics. Oh, and by the way, World War III has started. That's the great cultural significance we have to sport here, and he was right for that moment, right? But the reality of the situation is we've tried every kind of variety of manager in this club, and it doesn't work, right? So he was at Celtic, he was at Brisbane Roar, he won in Japan, right? I mean, people say, well, I've never heard of him, what's he ever done? Well, who'd heard of Arsene Wenger when they were appointed? He was appointed, right? I think he won something at Monaco. He won something in the Japan League. They appointed him. We all laugh at the Gooners because they're in disarray. And then Alan Sugar tried to repeat it by hiring Christian Gross. The rest is history. So there's that kind. There's been this reverse snobbery about Ange because he's Australian, because he's been in these different leagues. But frankly, at the time, as a club, we're in no position to have reverse snobbery because we're in disarray. So let's sack Ange. Fine. We'll sack him tomorrow. So what are we going to do? Ryan Mason 3, the trilogy. I mean, Toy Story 3 was
Graham
good.
Potter's available.
Yeah, Graham Potter. No.
Hey,
go.
This probably is a big. People say if you sack Ange, mate, I don't see the point in sacking Ange unless you're going to get in someone who will definitely be better, and you're going to and he's going to work with what he's given, and he's going to do a better job. But definitely, I totally agree. And with the injuries and that at the minute, and the where we're going, do you do it? Or I think Spurs will sort of like whatever happens. I think he'll get to the end of the season. But who do we get? Where do we go?
Exactly.
Well, if you pick them up,
I'm listening.
If you know your onions, there's fucking loads of managers out there.
Of course, there are
tons and tons of managers.
People I have never heard of could come in and do a good job.
But if you want to go and hang your hat on someone, and you know you're going to make the right decision and bring that person in, those people are out there. You may have to pay a little bit more for them, but if they're your man and they're going to make your club successful, they are there. So it's just another and I'm not saying like you or Jacqueline, but it's just another. And this is only my opinion because people have got opinions in here, like they're saying, what's the point? People like aesthetically pleasing football and stuff like that. And that's fair enough. If you're happy watching it and stuff like that, we've all got different opinions. And the beauty of, like I get irate as I'm talking, but I respect nobody's opinion's wrong because that's your opinion. It can't be wrong. Mm-hmm. But there are managers out there. Like would I take a punt on the guy at Bournemouth? Could we get him? We could get him if we were happy to pay him out of his contract. We wanted to pay him the right money. A bit of a gamble still. But he joined Bournemouth at the same time. He joined Bournemouth at the same time, and he has got and over the same sort of amount of games, they've had takeoff. Arteta, after 50 sort of games, had takeoff.
Well, he was eight. After 50 games, he was eighth after 76 games. Eighth.
But they started to have takeoff, mate.
No. You said 50. They had takeoff. He was at 76 games in and eighth.
Okay.
I'm not saying that he's a bad manager, by the way. But by the way, HG, who's not here, was slating, Arteta, hoping they'd keep him forever because he thought he was crap. And I'm not saying HG's wrong, but the number of Spurs fans who were laughing at Arteta and Arsenal all those years, is pretty legendary, right?
Yeah. But there was a sliding doors moment when we smacked them 3-0 and the crowd was jumping up and down and we were all loving it all around the world. The sliding doors moment was then. They went on and bought and rebuilt, and because the difference is Adu and Arteta and the board were all aligned, and they backed the big calls, even writing off Aubameyang's contract, Ozil's contract, wrote the thing off straight away. The toxic around the training ground, I want them out. Fine, gone, done. We hang around with Ndombele, all that nonsense and loans and things like that, right? Klopp, how much did he get for Mane? 40 million or something? Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think did Firmino go on a free? I don't know. Can't remember.
Yeah,
right?
he did. Yeah.
But that front three, Salah, Firmino, Mane, he's replaced two of them. He's strengthened, and they turned it around. Right?
When Diaz was getting ready to come to us, and he found out that he could go to Liverpool, what happened?
Mate,
he went to Liverpool
because we messed around, right?
Dave, no. They used Spurs to get Liverpool's ass into gear.
Just like we
do. I know, that's my
point.
So how is any of that's going to change when we sack Ange? I think we're all in agreement here that the results aren't great.
Mm-hmm.
Leon's wrong. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm
kidding. I got a 50 quid bet with Leon. That Ange makes it to next season, and right now it looks like I'm going to lose that bet. So I'm gonna try and save my 50 pounds all the time. But no, seriously, I mean, it to me, I don't see the point in sacking a manager that the players seem to be not bailing on, in the fact that nothing's going to change in the structure above him. So I'd rather give this man, who I personally like, other people don't, but I personally like very much, and has a track record, even if people think that, okay, Japan doesn't matter, Australia doesn't matter, and Scotland doesn't matter. I disagree 100%, but we don't have time for that conversation.
Yeah. So fair enough. We'll have that another time.
Yeah. So I'd rather give this guy another 18 months. And if we're still getting the same results, then you're right. It's a complete failure. I'm 100% wrong. And I should pay Leon the 50 quid anyway, because we should have fired him. So
he hasn't got 18 months if it carries on like this.
So I know he doesn't. No, I know he doesn't. I'm just saying that I'd rather see this to its conclusion. Yeah. And for me, I think we're at halftime of this project, which is this whole debate that I want to talk about, but not long, but you mentioned this. We didn't do a rebuild. A project is different than a rebuild, in my opinion. Project is, hey, this is the type of football we want to play. This is where I think we can be in 3 years. Here are the types of players I need. Now go out and find them. And the reason we aren't Liverpool is because of Enoch. And the reason we're not Everton is because of Enoch. Yeah. So it goes both ways.
Absolutely.
I'm not massively. Dave doesn't agree with me on that. I'm right.
I'm not massively down on it. Don't get me wrong. I want new owners. I think that's the only way we'll move forward. But you sort of know my take. There's all that sort of noise goes on, and I sort of say little bits. But all I care about, and I know that's what it will come back. All I care about is what is produced on that football pitch.
Yeah,
I agree.
I know you are, Dave. I know you are, but I really have absolutely no interest. Just fucking get it right on the football pitch. That's all that matters. But obviously, we've got this here, and then I was just going to say, so we're talking about the project. So we're working as the project, and there's no point in sacking Ange. We're struggling at the moment for players. We've got Rangers tomorrow. Going to be extremely difficult, and I mean, go up there and lose. We have got a shit version of us on Saturday away at Southampton.
Yep,
and I've got Southampton mates as well. They're all ready to go.
So we say we go there and we lose.
Yep.
Yeah.
We don't win away. We don't win away at Rangers. We get knocked out of the cup.
Yep.
Then we play Liverpool at home.
We get
get spanked.
Yep.
Right. Get our pants pulled.
He doesn't make it to Christmas.
No, he does not.
So that's what I'm. So basically, Jack. So what I'm trying to say is, because it probably comes across, I want him to succeed. Because if he succeeds, Tottenham are good. But we cannot, if those results are happening. Because then we got Forest away as well, haven't we? Which would be a tough game. And we're shocking away. Another thing about the whole thing, we're shocking away from home. We've had some couple of really good results, but that sort of masked all the mediocrity around it. So I sort of was saying the other day, I think we might get a good result at some point, because Ange does usually get a good result and all the mediocrity surrounds it. But if we don't win those games, what I'm saying, if we don't, beating Rangers, really, and Southampton. They're not big results, but they will probably get him through losing to Man United and Liverpool if he just beats one of them, I think.
No, I agree with that. Let me just, I'm getting a lot of heat in the comments from my Everton statement. What I don't mean is, and I know this is the only thing that most of us care about, is results in the pitch. And I'm getting told that we're not that far off of Everton. And I understand in the points total.
Yeah.
But that is crap. That is total crap to what I mean. That club almost got relegated. That club is almost insolvent, almost got bought by a Ponzi scheme. A literal Ponzi scheme from America almost bought Everton. And the one thing the Premier League has probably done right in the last year is not let that ownership group buy Everton, because it would have been a disaster. So my point is that financially, this club isn't going anywhere. And Everton was this close to getting relegated 2 years in a row, and their finances are a mess. So let me just clarify. Yes, the results on the pitch so far this year are not that different than Everton. I get that. Although, don't ask me to watch an Everton game. I don't care about the results. Don't ask me to watch them play. I'd rather watch us play most of the time than Everton. But I do. I just want to say what my comment was about Everton was more on the finance side and the sustainability of the club, because that shit show up at Everton is a mess. Anyway, sorry, I just had to.
But the question is about project versus rebuild.
Thank you, King Hoddle.
Okay, the rebuild is the project, or the project is the rebuild. It's both, right? We had to get a whole load of players off. We had to get rid of we had to get rid of the hitching players, right? And then we had to get them off and all of that lot. They all had to go. And then, the decision to move on Højbjerg and Skip, sorry, Matt, was the correct decision. They don't play the way that they're meant to do. But you don't replace that amount of Premier League experience with 2 kids and go, oh, I'm very happy how they are in the preseason. We're not buying anyone. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
I agree.
We are understood that Ange was keen on Gallagher, but I never thought Chelsea would sell him to us. No. And I never thought he'd come to us. But that's the kind of profile of player that he wanted. I believe that we wanted Eze, and Steve Paris wanted all the money up front, and that was his clause, and that was the end of that one. I believe we were in for Neto, who, as you saw on the weekend, I think Neto is one of 4 in that squad, who 2 on each side that he can rotate. When that goal went in with who scored the first goal again? Oh no, the first one. What's his name?
Sancho.
Now the sad thing is as soon as that ball went in the net from Sancho to make it 2-1, I said game over. We're done here, because if we needed the 3rd and probably the 4th before we could feel comfortable, and that's the reality of what we are. So if we are a cup team and we're going to win a cup this season, that means the scenario of this season's got to be no one else gets injured. Not likely. We're going to buy 3 players good to go in January who are going to augment that squad. Not likely. And everyone talks about the Europa. We're the bookies' favourites in England, as always.
Crazy.
The last time we won that competition was 1984, and we've never got further than the quarterfinals in whatever iteration that tournament has been. And as the season goes on, and we're more and more tired, there's more and more injuries, I can't see it happening. Sorry, I'd love it, but I can't see it happening. I mean, we've got one first team centre back for Rangers tomorrow. Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, that is a shocking position to be in for a club, with that revenue and whatever.
But hold on. In all fairness, no, seriously, you have 3 unavailable, right?
Yeah.
So all you're saying is that we don't have one more, a 5th, correct?
Would you have had a 5th?
Yeah. So who are you buying in the open market who's a 5th center back at Tottenham who you think you're going to feel much better about tomorrow than whoever the hell they stick in the lineup?
Well, I wanted to buy that Kilman. He
wouldn't have been 5th though.
He wouldn't. No. Hang on a second. I'd have kept the Welsh James Milner around the club, Ben Davis.
Yeah,
right? He'd have been my 5th. Good vibe, senior pro.
Yeah,
right? He'd have been your outdoor.
Was Kilman coming to play as the 4th center back here? No.
Well,
Well, hang on a second. I'd
Yeah,
have,
you should.
I'd have said
Unless
to
you pay him $250 a week, which we're
No, I don't know what
That's what
West
City
Ham
does.
Yeah, but Kilman went to West Ham, right? So I just said to Kilman, we're in the Europa, lovely stadium and an awesome training ground, and you can get to go to the hotel, right? You'd have
And he's
you'd
made
have
West
said,
Ham much better.
well, that's another story. But I'm interested in good to go players with Premier League experience, right? And you'd have had him as your fourth centre back, and then you'd have had Davis as your Milner-like player, and you'd have got a left back, right? Because what's the point? The reason why Reguilon wasn't loaned out, and the reason why Spencer's hanging around, is because we didn't buy any more fullbacks, which we should have done. That's the only reason they're here.
Anyway.
Yeah, I know. And why is that? Because the manager doesn't rate them. So we'll run Destiny, who had a bad injury last season, and Porro into the ground, and they are playing like that now, right? And then we'll just we'll get Gray to do an impersonation of Gary Mabbott, and in his first season played about every position but in goal, right? So that's where. So the fact is, with decent planning, with your director of football and your head of data and all that, I'd have shown you some data. We're going to be playing more games this season. We need more players. There we go. There's some data or data for you, right? So that's the position we're in now. Okay, I call it
data.
Yeah. So we've got it's data down here. We've got tomorrow Dragushin and what Gray.
Well,
Dragushin.
What about?
I know. Dragushin.
What about Dorrington? You know, like we played Lancashire up front against away at Galatasaray. That kid actually is a centre back who's been in the squad. You know, we've loaned Phillips out, so we have got other centre backs. They're just on loan.
Yeah, Dorrington isn't eligible, right?
Yeah. So we need a centre back. We haven't got anyone else.
No, so play. Play
one of the young kids who are centre back.
And I drop Basuma for Gray.
We'll have to play him.
No, I drop Basuma for just being an idiot.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
All right, so I'd have Bentancur, Gray, Madison.
Is Gray going to play center back? I think you're going to see Bergvall at the 6.
Oh, I think that's.
I'm not saying that's the right decision. I'm just saying what do I think is going to happen.
We were told they were first team ready, Jack. So I haven't got a problem with.
Whoa! I missed that memo.
Langer said it in his interview.
Langer said it.
Yeah.
That's why we didn't need other players. These two are first team squad ready. So if you're in that first team squad, you should be able to really step into any game, whether fans rate you, rate you or not.
And here's the thing:
the manager's got them in his first team squad.
Okay, let's assume
they should be able to step into any game.
And here's the thing: how are they going to get ready? In other words, you're going to have a player who's played one season in Sweden. The only way he's going to be first team ready is you play him. You know, there's been a lot of comments about the lack of rotation. I'm not buying that exactly.
Well, that's but that's your first team coach who is aligned with all of these signings, and they are first team ready. So he doesn't get his Conor Gallagher, he doesn't get his Jacob Ramsey. He gets a kid from Sweden, and he gets someone who's played 40 games in the Championship and a bit in the Premier League beforehand. They're ready to go in the Premier League, apparently. So Ange just signed off on that. So
we've been down that road, and we all know.
I know. So for tomorrow's team, I'd probably start Forster. He'll get booed roundly by the Rangers fans because they hate him.
No, not Brandon Austin. You're not buying that. No, I'm just kidding. So
Forster's in goal, right back, Porro again. Then you've got
Dragushin
and his brother Dragushin. Then you've got Gibbo and Dorrington. He's in. Left back, who we got?
The U21
Destiny. We got Destiny, and then then you got Gray.
Regular play.
No, he's not registered.
He's not
registered. Okay, sorry.
So you got Gray I'd have Gray at 6, Bergvall, Gray 6, Bergvall, and Madison. Kulu on the right.
Wait a minute. Who was your center back partner for Dragushin?
Was it Dorrington? Who's there?
You said Dorrington.
Matt's mate. And then
I think you play Dorrington, mate, because then you could probably play Gray at a fullback. Bissouma and Bentancur ain't playing at the weekend. So, like people saying about
that's right. I forgot about that.
Throwing the game or whatever. That doesn't sit comfortable with me. So you can put midfield out and Madison, Bentancur, and Bissouma and say, fucking go for it, you three. That's the engine room. Two of them ain't going to play the weekend. Play
that's
Gray
right.
as a
Forgot about
play
that.
Gray as a one fullback. You probably have to play Udogie as the other, or Porro, whichever one's least knackered. Play Dragusin, Dorrington, and then up front, you probably play Lancashire, don't you? Because we're going to run Solanke Lane. He's going to break down soon.
So Timo on the left,
Timo on the left, and
Solanke in the middle. And is Johnson recovered from his sniffles?
I don't know if his sniffles are any better. I thought of a front three the other day, and I thought it's not great, but at least their bodies, their attackers.
Werner, Solanke, and Kulu up top. Son on the bench because he's still crying, and then that's what we have. And if any of them get injured, then we'll need to start thinking about getting Disco Benny back on loan or whatever he's doing these days.
He's got to play Werner in Lancashire, hasn't he? I don't know what you think to that. I think you've got to play them because Son's a 40, 50, 60-minute player now, and we need him at the minute.
He should be a 30-minute player coming off the bench, but
correct.
So let me just. So if the ball, this is just a tangent, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love a tangent.
I believe we should have done in the summer. And me and Dave used to get pouters on shows a year or so ago for this. This is what we should be looking at. Son is 32 now, isn't he? 32, 33?
Yep.
Something like that.
He's not in the same shape as Salah. He's just not. He played a lot for us. Played a lot for his country when he's off travelling.
Yeah,
he's 32 now. We've got a young kid who obviously has got some sort of viral infection, who's 17, 18, who we all are hoping will be good and has got a good, bright future in front of him. You got a guy who's 32. What the club should have done at some point, not Werner, they should have bought a guy who's 24, 25, 26, just about to hit his prime, who shares minutes with Son, takes the minutes off him, sometimes starts and Son comes on for him. If Son starts, this guy comes on for him so he has a break. Eventually, Sonny will be phased out, as you have to, just because of his age, and players can't go on forever. And the guy who the player we bought, who's in his prime, will take that position. And by that time, Moore comes in, and he's sort of like early 20s, and he can do the same with this other guy we bought. But it's like we should have, like, Son is struggling like great player, brilliant player, led a Spurs legend, but
was a good player, not anymore.
But we just cannot. We're just not getting what we need out of him because the guy just physically can't do it anymore. He will score goals for us and he'll have moments of magic, but like, why haven't we sort of looked at moving on from him? And then a year or so ago, everybody's going, "What? Get someone in to replace Son." You know what I mean? And now it will get to a point where people are like, "Fucking get him off the pitch." Not everyone, but you know what I mean, don't you, Dave? It will get to a point where everyone's like, "Son shouldn't be playing. He's this, he's that," and you're just like, they should have been helping him and having a contingency plan come into line. That's another bugbear of mine.
No, I know, but the fact of the matter is with Son, right, is that I in the full season of Conte, I asked the question, well, has he peaked, actually, right? And since Kane's left, he's beginning to look like the Art Garfunkel to the Paul Simon of the partnership, right? So at the end of the day, right, bright eyes or otherwise, he has peaked. His game is based on pace. He does not have an all-round game that he could play somewhere else, in my
opinion.
Finisher. Like a Scholes or a Rooney or anything like that. And if you remember, one of Ledley King's last game was against Norwich at home, the season that we blew third. And you could tell time had finally come in for Ledley, sadly. And frankly, that game against Chelsea on the weekend was the Ledley King equivalent for Son. I'm very sorry. He comes across as a great guy. I don't think he's a leader in any way, shape or form. But we should have got rid of him 2 or 3 years ago. We'd have got some money for him. And what have we got now? We had the Manor Solomon opportunistic deal last summer. I don't know how he's going at Leeds. We got the Odebear opportunistic Burnley in financial trouble deal, right? And if you had Eze,
he goes down for 6 months.
If we bought Eze and Neto, and they had Mikey Moore, as you said, that's a much better options, right?
Yeah, I don't
Because
think
that's
Eze
what
could play. I don't think Eze would ever have played in the system under Ange, or Neto. But those sorts of premier ready players is what we all needed to be successful.
Yeah, and so my question to you is that the stadium opened 2019, and here we are in 2024. Did you think in 2019, with the opening of the stadium, we would be where we are now?
Well, I can't answer the question because honestly, in 2019, there was never a thought in my mind of, oh, you know where we're going to be in 2024, 25. That thought never crossed my mind. What the thought I did have was, now you have a cash ATM type machine to put money available to actually be good. And I didn't have any conclusions that we would be winning the league. I can assure you that I wasn't that. I mean, I had been a Spurs fan long enough in 2019 to know that wasn't the case. But I would tell you that I would not have predicted that we would have been through 7 managers.
Yeah.
I never think that.
I would have lost.
I never think that far in front, mate. I genuinely never think that far in front.
I don't either.
I'll take the season as for what it is. You've got to live for the now.
But what did you think? What did you think of the premise of the new stadium would bring to the club? How about that?
I thought from where we were, the new stadium would open up. Obviously, or like people all say about the concerts, but I thought that'll all bring extra revenue in. What we'll be after is Champions League football. Most seasons. Be in the Champions League most seasons, and then possibly in the future, in my lifetime, maybe another challenge for the league like we did at Lane. But because I'm cynical and the way I am, mate, we're in the new stadium, but I've always sort of thought with the players we've bought, like the people who disagree, they'll drag out the finance of that. With the players we bought and how we've still operated, we may as well have stayed at the Lane. And if we'd have stayed at the Lane, and if we'd have given Poch a couple more, I think we'd have probably could have won the league. And I'm not a massively optimistic person about Spurs. Like I said, everybody reaches their limit, and I think my limit came when certain things happened to Harry Redknapp, like the Saha and Nelson window. I think that's when I finally thought, back before then, I used to think, well, if we do this and do that, this could happen. But now, and over time as well, it's got worse. But I think if we'd have stayed at the Lane and kept going the way we were going, I think that would have got us more points than the new stadium has. And I think we'd have won that. And like I said, the new stadium to me is just lovely. But
wasn't there an issue with and I apologize because now my memory's failing me, but wasn't there an issue with Champions League at the Lane? Was there something about
we were playing at Wembley?
To me. Now I'm thinking about it, doesn't make sense to me now because what did it hold? 40?
Yeah, no, we played at Wembley. No, they played at Wembley when we were in the Champions League at the start.
Yeah, we played. We had the one. We played it. We played it
because it wasn't fit for purpose. We couldn't play Champions League.
No, they just wanted more bodies.
I wanted more bodies. Yeah. They wanted more bodies.
The demand for tickets, because didn't we also play when we got knocked out and played in the Europa League? We played those days.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, look at some of the teams in the Champions League. They're from poorer leagues, much smaller stadiums, and White Hart Lane. So it's not that. So, but the point is though, is that what we were told is every single penny of Beyonce and all the rest of it goes into the first team, and we know that that's not the case, right? So
Yeah.
Well, do you want a prediction for Rangers?
Yeah, let's wrap it. We've been going a lot. We've been going probably 30 minutes longer than we expected, Gibbo. So no one expected to be doing this either. Yeah. No, I appreciate you coming in, David. You've added a lot to the conversation, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And so the issue is tomorrow. I'm now losing track of who is available. I think the issue is Rangers. Is Old Firm at the weekend?
I'm not sure. But
I think I saw a comment earlier in the chat.
Mate, when the
Mate, when the English are in town, believe you me, they're up for it.
Oh,
Okay?
no. See,
Yeah.
my point was I was getting ready to say is that Rangers have an opportunity to actually escape the knockout round, right? They're right now sitting 8th and we're sitting 9th. And so this is a huge game. They know that they can get 3 points out of this because their third game, like ours, is a bit of a gimme. You know, the two teams that the 8th game for both Tottenham and Rangers, those two teams combined have 9 points in the competition so far. So you could argue that both teams are potentially sitting on 13 points. And the real issue is that if Rangers get a result tomorrow, we've got to go to Hoffenheim, which is definitely I mean, even if we were fully fit with players, there's no guarantee going to Germany that you're getting a result.
We're bad away from home as well, aren't we?
Yeah, we're crap away from home. So as a result, I would say that if Spurs don't win this match tomorrow, then they're going to be playing the round of 16, not 16, the round that it's not the round of 32, but you know that knockout phase,
playoff game.
So, in my opinion, I mean, I would rather sacrifice Southampton completely and go everything possible into this game to get 3 points. And even if you lose Southampton, the league is not, you're not winning the league. Top 4 will only happen if you get some unbelievable signings in January and some unbelievable run in the spring, which we all don't think is going to happen.
It's not going to happen. That's not good. We're not getting top 4.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's 5. Actually, I think the way England's doing in Europe, I think 5. There'll be 5 Champions League spots, but I still don't think we're fifth.
We won't get.
Yeah,
fifth.
Right. So I think we can all agree that preserving players for the league doesn't make sense.
As long as we don't get relegated.
The trouble is, Jack, with that,
we're not getting relegated, Dave. I'll take that bet right now if you want.
You're right, Jack. But, and I know this isn't the be all and end all, but if we lose to Rangers in the Europa League, we have got to go through a knockout group, and we're kicking the can further down the road because we'll probably have bodies in and bodies fit for that. We lose to Southampton, even though we're not. They haven't won a game this season. Have they won a game, Southampton?
One game. I've done my DD. They've won one game.
So, but the narrative then from that, because the Premiership is all encompassing, that's about everything. The pressure ramp. I think if he loses to Rangers and beats Southampton, that will give him not a stay of execution. That's the wrong word to use. But if he loses to Southampton, the media, everything will ramp up on him more than if he goes up to Scotland and loses with a scratch team against Rangers when he used to manage Celtic. You know.
No, I think there'll be quite a bit of media focus on this Rangers game.
Yeah, but if he loses Southampton, it'll be more. I think there'll be more pressure come on him if he doesn't beat Rangers and he beats Southampton. But if he beats Rangers and loses to Southampton, I think that there will be more pressure come on him from things going that way. That's my opinion.
Although it's financially not good for him, he has a slight track record for walking out. He resigned from the Aussie job, right?
Yeah, but
I know that no manager ever resigns these days because they want that payout. I get that, but there is that slight element. He has a little bit of history of doing that.
And here's the thing, though, Jack and Dave. With the bodies he's got, which aren't great, if he wasn't wedded to what he does, and I respect him for doing that, could he probably go up there and think, I just need a result tonight? I just need a result. This is the team I'm going to set up, and this is what I'm going to do.
Yep.
And if I can get a goal,
that's a really good point. You're right. He could theoretically tell everyone that we're going to give them the ball, wait for them to make a stake, and we're better than they are. Our forwards are better than their back line, and we will get the goals. You're right. That's not a bad thought.
We need a result. Yeah. Let's go there. But he ain't going to do that, is he?
Well, I think what the game in the Hungarian team away, we were a little bit like that in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true. You're right, Dave. To your point earlier in the conversation, he did make some tactical changes in this competition on the road. You're absolutely 100% right. Maybe not in Turkey, but he absolutely has made some adjustments to get results to put us in a good position, and then it's all kind of starting to go into crap again.
Yeah.
I was right. Southampton will be tailor-made. I used to think that when we played against Bielsa's Leeds with Conte, Leeds were tailor-made for us. I think Southampton will be tailor-made for us. So I think you go up to Rangers and you set up to get a result.
Even just 1 point.
Because you need a result.
Yeah, even if it's
win or a draw. and you've got to change your team because you need them fit, because the Premier League's your bread and butter. We can't be falling down the league, because that's not going to be any good for him, and it's not going to be any good for us. Then you go to Southampton, where you know you can play your strongest players and do what you need to do against a team who are going to come out here.
All right, wait, hold on a second. I got to make sure everyone sees this. All right, so Harry, who's pretty much in Dave's camp, puts this up. Right,
Yeah.
I was never fortunate enough to go to the lane.
Yeah.
I couldn't. By the time I couldn't get, I couldn't get there. And then we come to this.
That is what the whole setup is missing. Forget your tifo.
The South Stand needs some urine, baby.
Forget that tifo, the trumpet, the drummer, Robbie Williams. We just need stale piss. That's what we need. I'm so old. My first game was I was in the old West Stand. Okay, I was in the old. I had the wooden stand where you got a corner, you stamp your feet. People were smoking left, right, and centre. That's how old I am. But you're right. Stale piss is what we're going to buy. We're going to buy stale piss in the January window.
That's a good place to finish, isn't it, Jack?
It really is. It really is, guys.
That's all we want. That is all we want.
All right. Well, hey, we've had listen, we have been derelict in telling everyone, listen, lads at Tottenham, we're on Blue Sky, we're on X, we're on all the socials. Please find us, look us up, support us. Make sure you hit the like button. If you're not a subscriber and you joined this is probably one of our livelier conversations in quite a while. I'm kind of glad
we need to have more.
Yeah, we need to do more. We had a peak of 130 viewers, and I really appreciate everyone sticking with us. This has been a good conversation. We all got to remember we're all Spurs fans. All we want is success for the club. We have different opinions on how that should how it should be accomplished, and I think it is what it is, right? So now we just hope that somehow Ange can instill that Celtic magic in the players for just a couple hours tomorrow, get 3 points, move on to Southampton, maybe just get a draw, maybe get 3 points lucky, and get a little bit of positive vibe going into that quarterfinal with Manchester United, which I'm not looking forward to right now. But anyway, hey guys, thanks, Dave. I really appreciate you subbing in. You and I are both kind of like last minute additions, and I think we made a great show out of it. Thank you so much for coming in.
It's a pleasure. Let's hope we get some piss in January.
Oh, Matt, what are we gonna do?
Nah, mate. Like Dave called up at last minute. You coming in from work, but I think it's been good. No run sheets, off the cuff, talking from the heart, mate. All respectful. People in the chat, all respectful. Brilliant. More of it.
Yeah. Hey, just so DCF, it's just the webcam. I've just got this really cool little light thing that goes over here that makes it look all fancy and stuff like that. And I've got this cool little mic going on over here.
Look at that.
Yeah, man, I'm a professional producer, man. I'm going to quit finance and go into podcasting and YouTube shows professionally for the rest of my life, man. What more can you ask for?
I have at the moment, it would appear.
All right, guys. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. Remember, hit the like button, subscribe, and we are out.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.